that
maybe illusion.
If you look at the bans from the last time these teams met, it wasn't Alistar, targeted towards Vander, Kalista as well. Of course, Lulu a little more focused towards Nukeduck. First champion is Jace, taken off the table. Nukeduck, in my opinion, has performed better on Varus than most other champions.
I agree.
We'll see if he wants to run it again.
If Fnatic allows him to run it,
they can't, because you said there's 2 support bans.
Okay, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, Sivir, 1-for-1 so far. I don't think they necessarily have to ban the 2 supports, so Varus could be one. It's a ban I would use against Nukeduck. I think ROCCAT has really managed to play around him the last few weeks, and because we're now in a poke meta, mid lane has more power, especially in the mid game, transitioning towards the late game, unlike Varus and Jace, and it's something ROCCAT has used so effectively. I'm already gone, there's not even a support ban, unless Vander plays Rise.
We come up in a few seconds time, Deficio. Power picks, we should say. We knew that the theoretical AP cap of Rise was higher, despite his tankiness being lower, with some of the Rod of Ages changes. Febiven's going to lose Victor. This is the champion that helped Fnatic beat Origin and maintain their undefeated streak at 14-0.
It's been a while since we have seen teams try and target Febiven in the pick and ban phase. He normally has a very big champion pool, but that was also when he played all the assassins like LeBlanc and Zed. They're obviously not in the meta anymore, so now teams ROCCAT are looking towards him. Reignover has received 0 bans. Fnatic adapting as well, saying we know Nukeduck is a fantastic Azir player. Don't want to risk him getting that one early on, so they ban it away. So a lot of mid lane focus suddenly. Reignover can pick whatever he wants, even though MrRallez in the feature. He's talking about how, you know, just make sure Reignover is not on Gragas or Rek'Sai. That is a failure from ROCCAT. And by the way, in case you haven't noticed, Huni has been spamming Riven in solo queue. Obviously been a great pick over in Korea. We've seen it a lot of times, honestly. Fantastic snowball pick.
Into the Rumble especially.
Yeah, such a good matchup for the Riven. Early rotation, I don't think is necessary for him, but I wouldn't be surprised to see if he picked the Riven.
So Steve did first pick that Rumble, not only to steal it away from Huni, but also because we know just how powerful it is on 513 with the Liandry's changes. You can rush that, synergizes with the Rylai Scepter so well. Rekkles going to opt for Corki, considering Kalista and Sivir were both taken off the table. And Reignover's Rek'Sai once more.
Very standard first rotation for Fnatic. I think Rek'Sai is the #1 pick for Reignover because he uses the global so effectively and with the Tremor Sense as well to give so much more information to the team. Caitlyn though for MrRallez, so we are looking for a very, very strong laning phase for ROCCAT here. And one of the ways teams have beaten Fnatic in the early game is through standard lanes. Fnatic is a team that control minion waves so insanely well. They know exactly when to start objectives, when to rotate away from lanes and let them slow push and like put that pressure from you through the minions. So you need standard lanes and don't try and fool around in a lane swap against them, which is also one of the reasons a Riven pick could be extremely strong for Huni, because you don't really want to one-on-one it. But if you feel like that's your only strategy versus Fnatic, what do?
Pick a different strategy.
But Riven.
For Fnatic, they've got to decide who they run in this middle lane.
That's a man who's going to play Riven, by the way.
Febiven's champion pool's not been tested this hard in summer. 4 seconds left on the clock. It is locked in. The Riven for Huni. And the Alistar for YellowStar.
So when we have seen it very often in Korea, especially in this matchup, you go for an early Hex string or you go towards that brutalizer there, Hydra, and you just have fast push and you have so much burst in these one-on-one lanes. The Rumble simply cannot do anything. However, Riven is weak in a lane swap. Now the lane swaps are very quick though, and teams have figured out how to get farm on top laners by letting them stay in the lane, get the tower when the wave pushes back. Fnatic should be able to play around it. What ROCCAT really needs to decide. They got the Varus pick for Nukeduck, that's key. It's very, very important. Also why the Rumble pick is such an important one as well for the AP top. But ROCCAT really looking to siege towers. They won't have the range problem we saw with Illusion for Gambit last game. No. Poke from the Varus, you got fantastic long range from the Caitlyn, and you got disengage from Gragas and Janna. So it's a very, very strong siege composition for ROCCAT. But one thing that can ruin the day of a siege comp is a split pushing monster like Riven, who will destroy your Rumble in the one-on-one, especially later on in the game, and then force you to always have to send someone back to defend that wave, but nobody can really hold him, and like you don't manage to establish your 5 versus 5 siege or your group siege. That's where Rumble always falls apart. Like, he's a team fighter, he's not a split pusher.
So we'll find out whether or not Huni can get far enough ahead to make that a reality for Fnatic.
And I just should log in some wave clear right here. To hold off for the rest of the team, that's a perfect one right there. You got Corki TF as the wave clear. You have potential 1-3-1 setup if you get a lead in the early to mid game to start pushing in multiple lanes where ROCCAT will have no answers in the side lanes to TF and to the Riven. At the same time, you get the wave clear needed, pick potential, you can assist the Riven. Fnatic,
Deficio.
I like your composition.
But you also like ROCCAT's composition.
I also like the siege comp they're building. I think Caitlyn is always a risk. If she doesn't get to be a bully in the laning phase, I think she's way too weak in the mid game. But I can definitely see what ROCCAT is going for here. I just think as long as Huni is not 0-20 by minute 5, he will have such a big impact that it can become a big problem for ROCCAT.
More excitement. First time TF for Febiven. First time Riven in summer in Europe in the hands of Huni. And a first time Caitlyn for MrRallez.
Not too exciting.
That one's a little less
Yeah,
exciting.
it's Caitlyn. Like,
but we need to see whether or not Caitlyn and Janna can put the pressure ROCCAT need in this game. Fnatic are looking to go 15-0, undefeated after 8 weeks of games.
ROCCAT is looking to make us believe again. And then maybe disappoint us tomorrow, which is what they've been doing all split long. Great game, bad game. Great game, bad game. They need a great game to beat Fnatic, that's for sure.
Hashtag ROC win if you think they will have that great game. Or hashtag FNC win. Will Fnatic remain undefeated in the summer splits with Riven in the hands of Huni?
So, nobody cares about Riven. Twisted Fate, however, into poke compositions is so nice.
It definitely is, Deficio. We see the teams leaving their bases, most likely for this defensive start. And let's actually go back to last week and hear from Reignover talking about Fnatic's early game.
Like usually, if you want to get early ahead, you should take some risk. There must be some risk, but we don't really want to take risk to get ahead. We try to fight when our power spike is. So like if we don't really find a reason to fight when we have no power spike, so I think it's because of like enemy take some risk, but sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't work.
So this is obviously Reignover talking about how, or one of the reasons Fnatic have been falling behind in some of the games we've been watching lately, at least how they don't take any risk in the early game, meaning they allow their team to be proactive on the map, and that can often backfire for Fnatic, but they trust in their late game so much and timing these power spikes to then get back in the game. And yes, they have managed to pull it back, but it is not the style we used to see from Fnatic. It used to be very focused on making early plays, having this high risk, or sorry, medium risk, high reward style. That's what they used at MSI. This composition for Fnatic is going back to that style. There is risk involved when you run a Riven top lane. So they're going back, abandon what has been not the strongest for Fnatic the last few weeks. Enough to win, but now we're going back to the Fnatic style we know. Huni on a carry that can really snowball out of control. Twisted Fate pick against poke comps, I said it before, I really like it. You can create picks, you have wave clear, you have split pushing, and that is all you need to try and shut down these poke compositions, because they want a 5-on-5 sit and shoot you in the face. You won't let that happen in a 1-3-1 setup.
It's been such a long time since these two teams have faced off against one another as well. Week 2 was the matchup. Despite the gold being pretty even, went relatively late game, you can see that 3 Barons for Fnatic. And Nukeduck actually played a mid lane Irelia that particular match.
Yeah, and it was a game where ROCCAT fell really far behind. And then Fnatic overextended in a few fights around Baron, funny enough, which allowed ROCCAT to get back in the game. But they still kept it cool on Fnatic's side. It's something they talk a lot about, how they're getting mentally very strong. They can fall behind, they can keep it cool, they trust in YellowStar shot calling, and that's enough to pull them back. And then the coordination in these late game team fights is just spot on for Fnatic, and that's what they used against ROCCAT to secure that win. They're looking to do the same obviously here.
And we did see ROCCAT are the ones that started this lane swap. sent their duo up top.
Lane storm
Huni
against the Riven. Who
has
again?
been holding hands with Reignover, and Jankos' Gragas this split. 1-2, lost 2. Slightly higher kill participation. Jankos is also one of those junglers who's continuing to impress and continuing to grow in summer, despite having a shaky spring and a shaky start at the beginning of the split.
So we're going to see a 4v0 from ROCCAT because they've already cleared most of their own jungle, and Fnatic managed to steal away one of their own red buff up on the top side, even though the dual lane from ROCCAT was there. But Fnatic is going to the standard one we've seen now. 3 members pushing with the top laner. That's the key thing. You're going to notice how Huni is going to stay in the bottom lane once the tower goes down. They're going to give him the wave. He's going to bounce it back towards himself. Look how they give him full gold as well from the tower, because he's the key member here to get it rolling. So even though it's a swap, he only gets denied in the start, and Fnatic can then even go in and take a dragon for themselves. So now Huni is going to look to shove this wave back to himself. ROCCAT sacrificing Steve a little bit if they send him down to this bottom lane. Normally you would see RallZ and Vander go down here and shove out the wave. Really risky for Rumble to go. Oh, you can see they're actually coming after, so they're sending him, he's scouting.
Scouting ahead with that teleport available. Okay, Dragon picked up by Fnatic. Early advantage in CS and XP for Huni, as is customary. ROCCAT fan there in the... Hang on. That's double dipping. You can't have a ROCCAT face tattoo and a Fnatic hoodie on. That's cheating. But nevertheless, someone will win.
You're going to be happy no matter what happens.
Okay, maybe it's intelligent. It's intelligent fandom.
ROCCAT right now, what are they doing with Steve? He should have been sitting top lane, had the wave bounce back. Look at how many minions up there are building up from Fnatic. All that could have gone into the pocket of Steve. Instead, they swapped him, but they're fast pushing with Steve as well, so he's not getting a lot of XP, he's not getting a lot of farm. Instead, they're using him to try and take down 2 very quick outer turrets. They might be looking for a very early group around Nukeduck as well in this Varus. But Steve just lost so much potential farm in the top lane.
What is this going to mean in the bigger picture? Fnatic
means he's going to die even harder if he wants to 1v1s the Riven.
All right, what is ROCCAT's next move? They've almost fully committed to this. Once again, Steve is not the man getting the XP, is not the man getting the tower gold. Continues to fall further behind Huni. Let's see what YellowStar and Rekkles do once this tower goes down. Will they donate tower number 2 to Huni? It looks like that might be the case.
Yeah,
Deficio.
I mean, they can do the same again. So Fnatic is playing around the top laner. ROCCAT is playing around the AD carry at this point. It's MrRallez who's finishing the towers. He's the guy that tried to smack gold into and say, like, you need to get to your BF sword really, really fast so we can start grouping with you. But it does mean that Steve is not going to be able to show his face one-on-one against Huni. He's going to have to sit far back. You can see once again the wave is here. Huni's going to pick it up. Already a difference in farm. Obviously, Rumble is a champion that requires less gold to be impactful. However, I feel like with this new patch, where RallZ and Liandry's are so strong, investing gold into your Rumble is honestly worth it, because if he hits that 2-item spike, that's so powerful on him right now. But that's going to be very delayed with the way ROCCAT has played this lane swap. You can see Reignover staying around. If Steve shows, we'll just go gank him.
Flash is available for Huni. May see some toying. Steve is going to kill the tower off, and Reignover's going to recall. Jankos was nearby if anything were to break out. Now the 2 towers are down, both top and bottom. We'll catch a brief glimpse of Febiven and Nukeduck. We've not talked about them at all yet, Deficio. Febiven's already backed and picked up those Ionian Boots of Lucidity. If there was ever more of a sign that he wanted to help push those side lanes, maybe Huni's lane, many times over.
Yeah.
That might be it. And of course, Nukeduck with your traditional tier into longswords.
2 options then for Febiven. Either he goes Morel Nomicon second, he maxes out cooldown with option, and he just becomes such a strong wave clear machine, and then also with the lower cooldown on ulti. Or he can go in for Lich Bane as his first major item, and then he has more tower pushing potential in that sense if he's sitting in that 1-3-1 setup anyway. Fnatic, what they're looking to do later is swap Rek'Sai and YellowStar into the mid lane, because that enables YellowStar to start roaming with Reignover, and Alistar is such a strong champion again at setting up tower dives. So if you have a Riven pushing in one lane, a TF in the other one, those lanes are going to be pushed in very easily. And then Alistar comes in with the Rek'Sai, and you just pick whatever lane you want to dive. And there's so little counterplay for ROCCAT unless they can start grouping with the poke comps. I wonder if that was the strategy snowball Caitlyn into a BF sword, group up with the Varus, and then don't allow Fnatic to split push.
It didn't work
I don't really
out.
agree with it at all, though, because Huni's just so far ahead.
Well, MrRallez has already backed earlier, picked up that pickaxe. So they weren't rushing for that one. We're getting closer to 10 minutes on the clock in this lane swap. In Fnatic's 4 lane swaps that they've played, they've averaged 1.2 thousand gold in the lead. For ROCCAT, in the 6 lane swaps, they've actually averaged 300 gold down. So we're looking closer to the averages of ROCCAT. Fnatic not made any plays necessarily, other than pushing those waves out and making sure Huni has got a level advantage, 6-5. He's got a CS advantage, 30 more CS.
And this is what we're gonna do.
Steve is in trouble, gold card connects, the knockup comes out. Reignover's first blood.
I mean, you don't give Steve any farm. You might get YellowStar, though.
YellowStar gets caught out, Pulverize comes down, but where is the damage? Forced to flash away. We did see Rek'Sai being shielded by the tower, so ROCCAT gave up first blood on the player that they have surrendered for damage on 2 towers, and Fnatic may even get that inner turrets.
I see what Nukeduck is doing, though, trading with Febiven.
Well, seems to be winning that trade quite heavily, but did need to use the Chain of Corruption. Ace in the hole!
Almost, but nice setup. Very greedy pathing from Febiven. Just walked through his lane into Nukeduck. Gets poked down, dies for it. This is what ROCCAT wanted to do. Early outer turrets down so they could start rotating to mid lane with MrRallez. He should have that BF sword once he goes back to base with tower going down, the kill as well. That is what they were looking for. Can ROCCAT then continue grouping and start pushing at tier 2 towers? Or will Huni be such a big problem they always have to worry about? Like, look at Febiven here. Just casually walking back to his tower, being like, oh, hey, Nukeduck, you're there. Oh, I'm getting chunked down. And ROCCAT just walks in and is like, oh, the flash is so close. Just not enough.
Kill secured. That means MrRallez has got boots and a BF sword. ROCCAT and Fnatic are even in towers, but Fnatic have that extra dragon and 1,000 gold thanks to some CS that's been picked up. We do see early home guards and Sheen picked up for Febiven, as well as distortion boots for Huni. So TP flash plays.
Huni doesn't even need to go for any early resistance. He knows he's just that far ahead in the lane. So early penetration, obviously. Cooldown reduction, fantastic on the Riven. And we know what Fnatic is going to do. 1-3-1, collapsing with TP and with the Twisted Fate. 5 versus 5, but you just get into the backline so quickly. Vander is going to have to play a perfect game if he wants to protect MrRallez and Nukeduck.
Wow. Crepo showed me a perfect Thresh setup. Turning around a teleport gank. Not going to have the same tools in Janna, but similar levels of disruption. Dragon number 2 has been started at 11.5 minutes. ROCCAT are nearby, and Steve has teleport, plus a ward in the pit. Teleport's being channeled in the river, but it'll be too late for the Dragon. ROCCAT are now grouped up. Chain of Corruption from Nukeduck, not even going to be fired. Equalizer does, and Fnatic get away clean. A little bit awkward.
Yeah, strange from ROCCAT. If they wanted to fight for that one, they had so much time to set up that TP play from Steve and move in, but Nukeduck was also on the other side of the Dragon, and it's very key that ROCCAT does not move away from Vander. Again, he's your mom. He's the guy who's going to save you from the bullies that are Fnatic. If you stand far away from him, or her in that case, you're gonna die. So, somewhat weird setup from ROCCAT. 2 dragons now for Fnatic, 12 minutes in because they got the 1 lane swap. So that's gonna be very key going towards the 5 dragons very early on. ROCCAT though, we're back. We wanna push, we wanna poke, we wanna make sure we do it while Huni is still stuck with a wave at his own tier 2 tower, so we have so much time to build it up.
Okay, Deficio. You can see the gold values. 1,200 advantage for Huni with his 40 CS lead, but for all of the CS Huni has ahead, Rekkles is in fact behind. MrRallez was the one that was given that priority early on. And it's on a Caitlyn, so that mid-game power trough will somewhat be balanced by the Trinity Force Spike.
Right.
But
it still takes so long for Caitlyn to have impact on the game, unless you can continue to roll down these tier 2 towers, which has not been the case already for them, compared to what a Riven is going to do in the mid game with the early farm she's been giving. So Fnatic obviously have their priorities correct here, saying we need Huni to have a great game. But ROCCAT was like, Steve, Steve, whatever, you can just get sacrificed. We're gonna play around MrRallez. And that is such a risky strategy for them, because there's just nobody who can stop him. And ROCCAT
A lot of hype built up for this Riven. We've not seen him find a fight yet.
They're running away from him.
Yet. Huni still farming up that top lane. We saw him involved in one of those tower dives. Got the assist onto Steve. The sacrificial rumble, or yordle, if you will. The Mother Vander is protecting ROCCAT in the jungle as they continue to clear the wards out. And ROCCAT, they're playing this grouping game. However, the key component of the group, MrRallez, is Caitlyn. Not there.
Not there, but Huni also is freezing the top wave. So Fnatic not looking to set up any pressure on the map at all. That has allowed ROCCAT to move into the jungle and establish this vision here. If there's a guy freezing, you know he's stuck in that lane. So that's a guy less you have to worry about. And ROCCAT used it well. Have to obviously remember, as you just said here, RALLEZ with his Infinity Edge is not nearby. So if a fight breaks out, Fnatic's not really gonna miss Rekkles too much. He's level 7. Doesn't have a Trinity Force yet, should be completed very soon though. But this game is definitely not about him.
No.
Even though they built these comms earlier around him, that's a difference now.
And that's Fnatic's prerogative, really, when they want to play. They can build around Febiven to carry. They can build around Huni to carry. They can build around Rekkles to carry. And we've seen all of those respective styles of team compositions.
This is an MSI comp. Massive carry for Huni that can snowball out of control. Cassiopeia in a one. Now it's a Riven. Rekkles or the AD carry on cleanup duty and wave clear.
I need to ask our stats guys to track Steve's CS numbers. 45 at 15. Will Fnatic shut Steve down as hard as they shut Oduwamne down a few weeks ago? When Fnatic want to single out a champion, they can. And of course, ROCCAT helped that cause because they put Steve in a disadvantageous positions.
Fnatic needs to be careful though, they don't invest too many members on the lane where Huni is pushing. They just walked in because they had pushed up to take the blue buff. But you have to respect the fact that ROCCAT is looking to group on your towers. And now, this is giving so much damage on it because Fnatic went for that blue buff. That's something they have to respect. Febiven and Rekkles need to be ready to clear out the waves. They cannot go aggressive unless they get a kill, and ROCCAT is not in position to take anything.
Febiven took one of those aces in the holes earlier and is not enough of a bro to take it for Rekkles this time. ROCCAT continue to group up, and the poke from Nukeduck is being equalized by the wave clear from Twisted Fate Fnatic. Febiven, rather.
It's a nice time.
Yeah, sorry.
Your wave clear.
Fnatic hold on to their inner turret. So this tier 2 pressure has stalled out for ROCCAT. They are still 1,600 gold, and Steve's going to need all the bravery shields he can get. He's 70 CS down. Still farming towards that needlessly large rod, which is cheaper, but not cheap enough.
That is another good thing for Rumble though. In the Hourglass, obviously when you build Hourglass, it's for the active of it, it's not for the AP, which is why having it cost less is an upgrade for a lot of champions. And that's always how I look at these new AP changes, is do we build the item for the AP, then it's annoying that it costs more. Oh, sorry, then it's, I mean, I guess you're happy then it gives more AP, but it's a bit annoying anyway in that sense. But if you build an item for the active, it's great it costs less. Like take Void Staff as an example. Why do you build Void Staff? Magic penetration. So it costs more, but it gives more AP. Well, who cares? I want it for magic penetration, so I want it to cost less. So that's annoying, that's a nerf. This case, Hourglass, to me, that's a buff, especially for Rumble.
Really disappointed teacher today. 513's made Deficio angry.
I really like the patch. I mean, I'm reading it, I was like, oh boy, that's done a lot of prep. For the next
huge amount has changed. We're seeing very similar things, at least for the first week the patch has been out. Although, Challenger team did run Zyra mid. We'll talk about that if we ever see an LCS. For now, Fnatic on the Dragon. ROCCAT was slow to react last time. They're going to be slow to react this time. Maybe 2,000. Piercing arrow's going to come out. Reignover, not going to get it. ROCCAT snipe away the Dragon.
Nice coordinated snipe. I think both MrRallez and Nukeduck fired in at the same time. Reignover getting a taste of his own medicine. He stole it with an Olaf axe. And now Nukeduck snipes it away from Fnatic. But you could see how ROCCAT didn't want to commit to the fight because there were two guys on the flank, Febiven and Huni. So they had to just try and rely on the snipe. And that was so important. 3 dragons to 0 at 18 minutes would have been
catastrophic.
Terrible. Disgustingly bad.
But it's not
annoying,
the case.
But that is not the case. Because of the snipe. Rekkles also managed to
Destiny has been used. Steve's been gold carded. Huni's stunned him. Valor wind slash. Not even going to be needed.
I just want people to notice when Febiven is using his ulti. It's not just when Steve shows himself in the top lane. That is obviously step 1. Step 2 is where are the minion waves when he's using it? Bot lane was pushed up by Rekkles. Mid lane has been pushed up by Febiven himself. So ROCCAT was stuck near their own towers, which means they couldn't respond and take a tower on the other side of the map after the play happened. So he's timing the minion waves really well with when can ROCCAT make a play, so when can I make a play. Also means that Steve can never show himself if the rest of his team is standing too far back on the map. He can only show himself if they are already pushing up near a tower, so Febiven cannot leave. He might even be lying to you, because even if he shows himself against Huni, he's gonna die. So Febiven.
100 CS is the difference for Huni as we're getting closer to 20 minutes. Febiven, I'm sure we'll get a replay of that.
Nukeduck, it's been a bit of a bully.
So here's the replay.
Q ulti, yeah, beautiful.
Well, this is what we said in Picks and Bans. Nukeduck's Varus. Oh! Nobody saw that, Feb. Except everyone saw that.
Yes. Slowed down as well. Well, I mean, you don't need that flash. You have an ulti anyway. I like Nukeduck though on Varus. He's impact in the mid game. You land a Q, followed by ulti, then you get another Q because your cooldown is so low. That's a very good, quick combo you can use. Then you also force them to flash into the wall.
Okay, so Deficio. Kill for Nukeduck. That's 2-2 with Fnatic. We've crested 20 minutes. At 20 minutes, Steve had around 72, 76 CS. It's the second lowest against Fnatic of the split. As this is the team fight. Twisted Fate is up. Febiven's looking for the kill. Huni's gonna Valor forward. Wind slash plus one more wildcard. Huni, the shield saves his life.
Once again, look at the minimap. Where is ROCCAT? They're standing super far back. They're standing at their own tower in the mid lane. So Fnatic knows there's 0 response. Febiven uses ulti, can see is there anyone near the bottom lane? No, Steve is on his own. Big surprise, ROCCAT sacrificed him all game long. And you just pop down, you kill him. Again, if ROCCAT cannot be proactive on the map, and that's why I disagreed so much with letting Huni get such a big advantage and just sacrificing your own top laner, ROCCAT can never group them. Whenever Steve dies, ROCCAT can't group. If they're not in a position before he dies to take a tower, they're not going to gain anything.
And with those 2 kills that Fnatic have picked up, they are now 4,000 gold ahead of ROCCAT, despite the fact Steve has picked up that Zhonya's Hourglass. To finish the point, he had the second lowest CS at 20 minutes, all split long. That's of any top laner. Partially because of Fnatic, partially because of ROCCAT's team decisions. What it does mean is that Nukeduck was able to pick up a CS advantage. All of the CS that MrRallez had over Rekkles has now been evened out, and it's Fnatic's group that secures another tower.
Just very well played around Huni and Febiven together. Remember, it's not about Rekkles. He's just sitting here farming, wave clearing, taking down towers. That's his job. Keep feeding Huni. That is the mission. And now MrRallez.
Gonna flash away, pulverize up, that's gonna interrupt the net. Rekkles is looking for the kill as Rallez gets headbutted towards the wall. The mother Vander is not gonna be able to save MrRallez's life. Will keep himself up. While that was going on, Steve got dropped underneath the tower. Here comes Jankos, a new challenger appears and it's super effective. Nukeduck gets the kill. Wind slash is thrown across by Huni for the damage and nothing else. Tower defended, 1 for 2.
Again though, Fnatic with control of the map. They're the ones setting up the dives, using the Alistar this time. RALLEZ was hoping for a headbutt from YellowStar. That's why he could try and flash that one and get out of range then of the Q. But obviously YellowStar just waiting. Easy kill for him. Let's see it again. You can notice how RALLEZ, like his only hope of surviving here is trying to flash a potential headbutt. Not gonna happen. YellowStar saves it. They get the kill on RALLEZ. Vander tries to save him, but 2 guys already behind him. Steve ports in, and poor guy instantly dies. ROCCAT gets 1 kill in return, but it's the same again. Fnatic, they have the skirmish, they have the global. They're using it. They have the stronger one-on-ones, 2v2s. ROCCAT has the poke, but are never able to group and use it.
I see both of the coaches backstage, Daylor and Yamato Cannon, watching intently.
Serious faces.
Daylor, it's a matter of continuing the win streak and improving upon the fantastic foundations Fnatic have built. And for ROCCAT, now it's pulling a Fnatic. Can they play from behind? Can they bounce back from a 5,000 gold deficit? The 4th dragon of the game has just spawned. And once again, Fnatic are here on point. Will ROCCAT be able to snipe it a second time? Not so confident.
We're gonna have to be so careful when they move in here. They might just want to try and trade it for a tower, or because look at Huni's position. If he moves in and gets a flank, the 2 carries are gonna die, but
Oh
I mean, I guess you can just steal it again.
Cyanide will be rolling in his grave because he once called Reignover out for stealing. Reignover was the one that was securing objectives, whether his or his opponents. And now Reignover's been unable as Jankos and Nukeduck have stolen away 2 dragons. But it does feel like there's small victories. Look at that goal difference. The 5,000 gold if Fnatic are ahead, 4,000 of it is because of Steve versus Huni.
Talked about it in the early game.
We talked about it a lot.
We did. So that's why we don't want to talk about it anymore.
Okay.
Remove that goal. Instead, Fnatic. Twice now, dragon gets stolen. Could have had 4 dragons at 24 minutes. Do wonder if instead of taking that risk of ROCCAT stealing it, maybe they should be looking instead of using Huni to go in for a flank in these fights here. But obviously Fnatic is saying we don't need to 5-on-5 when we can just keep using our split push advantage. But 2 dragons to ROCCAT, they can prove super important. Steve, not even the Crooks is his friend in this game. I don't think they're ever friends with anyone. You kill them all the time. But point is, everyone wants to kill Steve.
Now, they're nobody's enemy until you punch them in the face. Huni, 230 CS. Last Whisper, Brutalizer, as well as the Tiamat. Ravenous Hydra completed. Upgraded trinkets for 3 of 5 Fnatic members. And we just constantly see Fnatic pushing out the waves. Now, they've dived Steve for what I'm going to say are easy kills. But for Fnatic, they also don't have the greatest of siege themselves. Using Huni to split push, let's see how they can crack open the bases.
Well, you can see the position for ROCCAT right now on the map. That allows Febiven to go bot lane again if he wants to and kill Steve again and take the tower. Seeing as ROCCAT is not in a position to make any plays for ROCCAT, this group of 4 members need to shove up the top lane. That's what RallZ is trying to do. And then try and group the mid lane and start pushing it up. Force Febiven to sit in a wave clear at the tier 2 tower. That's one of the ways you can maybe start landing some poke, but you still gotta respect the potential flank from Huni. You have no control over the map. There's so many ways you can TP in, or you can just start the fight like this.
Febiven's coming in. We see the gold quarter and Nukeduck. The mother Vander's not going to save the lives of ROCCAT again. Rek'Sai has got a kill. A 3-man stun from the key strike. That's a huge team fight for Fnatic. Double kill for Huni. Double kill for Rekkles. And they're going to peel for Baron.
Fnatic has been getting everything. We just mentioned how if you start grouping, Huni can flank because ROCCAT obviously have so little control over the map. What happens? Fnatic start the fight. Huni walks in. This is what I wanted them to do around Dragon instead of risking getting stolen, but I take it. This is fine. Such a good team fight for Fnatic. And I mean, yeah, Vander, you have a Monsoon, but that's not enough against so much CC coming in from Fnatic. Look at the fight here. First Febiven comes in. Vander tries to disengage everything to save Nukeduck. MrRallez is not even close. He's running from the blue buff at this point. He's trying to shove out the wave.
Oh!
3-man stun. Beautiful play. Didn't even have to use his teleport, so he now has that advantage as well.
That was exceptional.
I love watching Fnatic play when they have styles like this. When they play carries like this for Huni and play around him so well.
And the thing that's exceptional about this game, Fnatic committed all of their time and decisions into getting Huni ahead. And ROCCAT committed their time and resources in the early game into getting MrRallez ahead.
Yeah, and he's still sitting on just 2 items.
And now MrRallez is even with Rekkles in CS, but behind in global objectives.
To be fair as well for ROC, this is not about him as a player. This is more what ROC could do as a team.
Yes, team decision, strategy. And Fnatic played it out perfectly. They've got Baron empowered minions. Look how far Steve is from Huni, showing full respect to that Riven. And this is going to allow Fnatic with those Baron empowered minions, with the Lich Bane and the Trinity Force, to kill towers once they get to them.
3 lanes pushing in. Buffed up minions everywhere. Decent wave clear from ROCCAT though, with the Varus, with the Caitlyn as well. But it's not even about that for them at this point. It's more the fact that Fnatic will keep pushing in these waves here. They will keep looking for opportunities. And it's just a matter of time before Febiven pops his ulti and kills Steve again.
Another tower secured for Fnatic. Huni. Level 17 to level 13. Let that sink in for a second.
Okay.
160 CS lead. I don't even think the help of Nukeduck will be able to turn the tides in ROCCAT's favor. Waves being pushed in here by the wave clear from Febiven. Rekkles' Corki doing work in the top lane, and they're just... my guess is just waiting for a mistake.
They're slowly getting damage on the towers. That's one thing for Fnatic. Another thing is they're waiting for ROCCAT to maybe send 4 members to the top lane and then just go kill Steve instantly. Or they're waiting for ROCCAT to send multiple members down to stop Huni and then just go up to the top side and make a play. They're waiting for ROCCAT to make them move first. Otherwise, look at the bot lane tower, down to 50%, slowly but surely poking it down. Notice as well how it's Febiven sitting and controlling the mid lane. So he can very easily move between the lanes. Rekkles is just on the other side lane, trying to shove it in over and over. So Rekkles is running without a support, but there's so little distance between them and also the T of ulti, so it's more than fine for him to do
Camps
this.
secured on the way out. Baron has now timed.
This could have been Dragon number 5, by the way. Fnatic's gonna take.
Right, thanks to the stealing abilities of Team ROCCAT's Jankos. It allowed ROCCAT to at least prepare to fight another day. And they're this far behind. They might need to surrender now, or Fnatic will just take off at the speed of light.
Vander. Jankos. Nukeduck.
Unfortunately for ROCCAT, it's fallen apart as the game has progressed, because they were only a few thousand gold down. And then they stole some dragons. But unfortunately, it was the inner turrets. Fisher, you called it at the 3rd minute. If MrRallez does not get inner turrets with Caitlyn, that mid-game power trough will be too great for ROCCAT to overcome, and it's exactly what's happened. Fnatic have played their team composition and their macro-level strategy exquisitely.
We've seen one of the problems for ROCCAT all split long is whenever ROCCAT has to be the proactive team, they tend to struggle quite a lot making the aggressive plays. They like to more react to what you're doing, but there's no reaction to make to a Twisted Fate teleporting in with a Riven. Like, there's nothing you are going to do at that point, because even if you're setting up a trap, hello, Twisted Fate ulti is going to spot you anyway, and they're just going to be like, okay, we're not going to go for it, and step away. Bot and tower going down now, slow and steady.
Nobody can contest Huni. You see that Valor shield with his Bloodthirster shield. So difficult to hurt Huni at this point, and then he's just going to sustain with all of the lifesteal. Steve, you got to be very careful, my friend. Giant's Belt plus Hourglass. Look at this. Febiven pushing top lane as the rest of Fnatic now have an opening into the base. Very clear they want to get supers to help out this continued siege. That's a flash forward from YellowStar. He's got to the headbutt, pulverized. Destiny is being channeled from Febiven, and Steve is going golden in the middle of the fight. Febiven's been able to stay alive for a few seconds before they've traded lives, 1 for 1. Inhibitors down, and Fnatic look like they'll be happy to escape. Chain of Corruptions onto Huni. He will get focused down. 2 for 1 at the cost of an inhibitor.
Very nice ulti from Nukeduck here. ROCCAT just managed to get away from Huni, then lock him down as well. Fnatic diving in while paying attention to the inhibitor at the same time. Got their inhibitor down at least while the lost fight. That's the key thing for them. Open up the base. You got super minions coming. Baron is up in a minute's time. Steve is going to be a guy defending. So look at this here. Fnatic, what they want to do is obviously take the fight, force ROCCAT away. Worst case, you just take inhibitor. But nice ulti from Vander to split up everything. Jankos follow in as well, knocking Febiven into the tower. Huni just managed to use his ulti for anything, really. So it's a good fight for ROCCAT. And notice, Huni's trying to go back in. The reaction from ROCCAT, locking him down, gets another kill for themselves. Too little, most likely too late, though.
Minions and 14,000 gold. QSS now secured for Huni as well to shake off that chain of corruption. And just such a difficult place to be. There's 30 seconds on the clock before Baron comes up. And even though Steve has teleport, they would really have to surprise Fnatic. They wanted to challenge for this next Baron. You can see Huni going to peel away to this middle lane, using those broken wings to clear some distance and finish the waves again. Look at Deficio. For ROCCAT, it's now hoping Fnatic make a mistake. For Fnatic, play safe for Baron and then push down top.
Yeah.
Let supers do the work. Let the Baronified minions help, and on track for another sort of average game length victory.
It's a joy to shot caller when you are almost 15,000 gold ahead of the other team. Because there are just barely any wrong calls to make. You are Fnatic, so push down this top wave. You have the buffed up minions. Twisted Fate, you cannot leave him alone. He's going to destroy your tower. He has a Lich Bane, Death Cap, everything. So ROCCAT needs to create a pick somehow on Fnatic. That is the only way for them back in the game. I'm looking at Nukeduck. He's going to be the guy to do it. Snipe a target, land the ulti.
Well,
but I mean,
Huni's got one tower. Fnatic got the next. Top inhibitors being focused by Huni. ROCCAT have made no decision. Barrel's going to go and actually knock Fnatic to safety. Steve's going to try burn down Reignover, but Huni should be able to get that top inhibitor any second now. It's dropped, as we said. Fnatic take another inhibitor. Super Mini is now on the bottom lane. Look at that shield from Huni when he uses his E. Going to take a couple of autos from MrRallez
as well.
BT shield, Valor shield, all the shields. Chain of Corruption goes out. It does connect on Febiven. He's going to be forced to use the Hourglass. Now, Jankos has already used his explosive cast. Two very important ultimates used. Fnatic are even going to use the Empowered Recalls and their Destiny to get back and continue the siege. It's just about running interference.
Got all the super minions coming. Febiven is going to rejoin as well. ROCCAT doing the best they can to hold off, but Fnatic, they're just playing it safe right now. They want to make sure this is going to be the push.
Seems to be the case. ROCCAT Super's coming in. There's the gate. Febiven, he's joining the fight. Monsoon's up for Vander as a little form of disengage, but that is it. Gold card will take the tower out. Piercing arrow not going to connect, nor will the Fat Man body slam. For a slow and steady finish, Fnatic waiting for the supers to get in. PvE almost. ROCCAT may as well not be involved. YellowStar misses the engage. Huni's looking for more. He gets cast underneath the laser. ROCCAT get a kill, but they will lose their Nexus. Fnatic remain undefeated at 15-0.
Just a very clear game plan for Fnatic coming into the game. You're running a poke composition. We need wave flare with our last pick. That's going to be a Twisted Fate, because that can also help snowball our Riven even harder, which was the whole strategy. We saw the lane swap. People will go back and rewatch it, notice how YellowStar and Rekkles are always leaving the tower just when it's about to go down, give the full amount of gold to Huni, where ROCCAT was the complete opposite. It was Steve leaving, give it over to MrRallez. Steve lost the entire wave top, he gained nothing. He got 162 CS. That is 3 more than Reignover managed to get in this game here. Huni, 359. 2 items completed for Steve. Huni almost full build. Such a big difference in priority. Obviously, you could see what ROCCAT were trying to do, saying, we know the Rumble is not going to hold him. He's only in a one-on-one, so we're just going to try and build around the 280 carries and get this early group going. But then they didn't control the minion waves like Fnatic did, and we just saw pick after pick after pick. And then when you have a Pokemon falling behind like that, there's nothing you can do.
Such a difficult game for ROCCAT, and for Fnatic, truthfully, they didn't even need the power of Riven. Just the big side that said beware. You know, like when you walk past somebody's house, you see beware of dog.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. Beware of Huni's Riven. They just waved that around and ROC are like, nope.
I feel like Steve walked up there a few times anyway.
Won't get involved. Okay.
I'm just gonna see what happens.
And exceptional leadership, decision making, a phrase that Yamato Cannon was talking about from the analyst desk, saying, you know, you can't necessarily call shot calling. I give that. That's fair. Despite the fact we hear from all the players, YellowStar's a big voice in the shot calling. The decision making as a team, with their picks and bans, with their team composition, and then how they played around it, is what is the most impressive about this.
Yeah, for me, that's again, synergy and like communication and so on is more than just one guy saying, go here, do that, do that. It's about one guy saying, we need to push bot lane, and then all 5 members knowing, okay, what should I do now? I need to then recall first, then go there. I need to shove up my wave, know it, so you don't have to explain everything because you cannot guide every single player. And all Fnatic members are on the same page. And it's just beautiful to watch.